Okay. Lamid Beis, middle of a sugya, Tsar Balichaim, Deraisa Derabanan, right? We saw yesterday, right? We saw the Chiddush that when we say Tsar Balichaim, that's if it's not for you in need. If it's a tzarech for an Adam, we saw the Ramah. You can take the duck and pull the krill out, and right? If you need it, you need it. Tashma. Sainish Amru. Okay, now if the pasuk says that if you see your Hisira chamor sein acha roibitz tachas maso. If you see the chamor of someone you hate, that it's roibitz tachas maso. So it says lashon sainei. It says sainish amru. Tana shashma. Oyev lifreik. It's five lines up. Oyev lifreik. You have a person that you're very inclined to go ahead and unload. B'soinei litain. The person that you're a soinei and you to load. So who takes precedence? Mitzvah b'sainei. Now, even though lifrok l'chayre, it's suffering from tsar b'alechayim, right? Nonetheless, go ahead and do the sainei. Why? K'dei lokof es yitzroi. In order to go ahead and override your yetzer, because naturally you're going to go after your oyev, the one you love. Over here, you're going to go after what in order to go ahead and work on your midas, you're going to go ahead and even though it's litoin, you're going to be tying the sainei. If you're going to tell me tsar b'alechaim is the raisa, the flay, l'chayra to go ahead and unload the load, it should take precedence. And for the Gemara, they lokach yitzroi adif, because if your yetzer is stronger. So guys, it's very geschmack. Like I think Duran says it, but if the purpose of tsar b'alechaim, he said, is only if there's no tayelis for you. Over here, it's a tayelis. Lokach is yitzroi. You're gaining, right? You're taking the quill out of the duck. In other words, you're doing so. Therefore, that's why it would take precedence, despite the fact that the animal's in pain. Even tsar b'alechaim is the raisa. That's if you don't have a gain from it. Over here, you have a gain from it. What's the gain? Being lokach is yitzroi. You're being working on your yitzhar. Tashma, sainish amru saini Yisrael. The pasuk that says that the kisira chamor sainacha, it's speaking about saini Yisrael. Why do you care about your feelings towards this individual? If tsar b'alechaim is the raisa, we should only take into account not the person, we should only take into account the animal. So it must be that it's the rabbanon. It says misabis asani dekra. It's not speaking about the saini of the pasuk. It's speaking saini the masnitan of the masnitan of the brisa that we just said. That it's a sign that it's a that din that you go ahead and lakaf es yitzroi. If the sign litain takes precedence over the oyev lifroik is speaking where that sign is a Jew. But if the sign is a guy, then no, then your oyev lifroik takes precedence. So in other words, the half-amina was it's going on the pasuk. If it's going in the pasuk, I have a kasha. Who cares what you feel about it? Just care about the animal. Take care of the animal. And the answer is no. That's signing. We're not speaking about that. The animal deraisa doesn't make a difference. The signing over here is speaking on that din that we just said, that the signing litain would take precedence over the oyev lifreik. That when is that? When the signing is a signing Yisrael, but signing guy, the oyev lifreik would take precedence. Tashma. Roivitz, it says roivitz tachas maso, roivitz le rav son, and not one that is accustomed to going ahead and lie down. In other words, it's roivates this, but not one that's accustomed to lie down. Roivates, but not when it's standing. Hachas maso, the pasuk says, not when it's what? There's nothing on it. The Gemara is going to ask, there's nothing on it. You have a mitzvah lit on. You have a mitzvah to go ahead and load it up. Tachas maso shiachalamay boy, a maso that they're able to take, right, a 50-pounder, but not a 100-pounder. Who cares? In other words, if Tzaba L'chaim is the Raisa, right, to take care of the animal, what are you giving these? If the animal's, if it's Oimid, if the animal's in pain, they should take care of the animal, regardless. Says the Gemara, Hamani, who's the town of this price, is Rabbi Yosef Gluli. So Rabbi Yosef Gluli, Domer Tzaba L'chaim is the Rabbanon. Rabbi Yosef Gluli is of the opinion that Tzaba L'chaim is the Rabbanon. Hachanami Mistabra, Viktani Tachas Maso, Maso Shiachalamid Boy. Maso that is able to stand. In other words, if you overload it, then you don't have to help. Man shamalei dislei svara. Who's the Tana who says the svara that if you overload it, that there's no mitzvah of lefroik? It's Rabbi Yossi Glili. Shmami know that the whole brisa goes according to Rabbi Yossi Glili. And Rabbi Yossi Glili is of the opinion that what that Sabay Lechem is the Rabbanon. But Mashenkin, other Tanoim calls the Raisa. Fred the Gemara, I mean, what's
even if it's Rabbanon, if someone overloaded the animal and it's Sabay Lechem, the rice is Rabbanon, but still Sabay Lechem.
Right? They're saying that there's no that if he caused it, in other words, if Sabay Lechem is the Rabbanon, then there's no mitzvah on the animal. So it's Rabbanon Dikasos. In other words, according to the letter of the law, as the Raisa Dikadin, I have no chiyuv to help. That does mean I have this kind of chiyuv to help. I don't have a chiyuv to help. It's not hachas maso. When is you be vatal a mitzvah the Raisa? That's when it's what it's hachas maso. Even okay. Shmamina. Fred Gemara. Umi matzis mukim bisla krep yaisi. Could you possibly say that this Could you possibly say this goes according to Yosei Glili? Bakatani Seifa, Tachas Masoi, V'loy Mefarik. When it's under this load, and not when it's what? It doesn't have anything on it. Try to go on my loy mefarik. What do you mean it doesn't have anything on it? Loy mefarik klal, that there's nothing on it at all. That there's no mitzvah of priko. Aksiv hakem sakin imay. It says that what? There's a mitzvah of if nothing is on it at all, there's a mitzvah of loading it up. El b'shita when it says loy mefarik loy b'cher pechinam el b'schar. It means that what you do. Loy mefarik means you don't have to do it for nothing. But you do it for schar, but you have to do it. So now, man shamelei the islay svara rabbanon. Who holds the svara? The rabbanon. So in other words, I have conflicting deis over here to say that the brisa goes according to Rabbi Yossi Glili. On one hand, I have the tachas maso, and that meaning that 50 pounds and not 100 pounds. That's what Rabbi Yossi is dictum. However, it says loy mefayrik, but there's no mitzvah if it's not if it's empty. Right? If it's empty, of course there's a mitzvah. What does it mean? There's no mitzvah to do it for nothing. You could do it for what? For schar. Who says that? The Rabbanan says that. And in the same brisa, he is saying in the same breath, how can you tell me it's why it's Rabbi Yossi Glili? So Ella must be not Rabbi Yossi Glili, and you have a raya that Sabay Lechem is the Rabbanan, not the Raisa. Says the Gemara, it's the Raisa. Says the Gemara, no. Excuse me, it's not the Raisa. Pshita, says the Gemara, when does he say that you do it? You don't have to do it for schar. That's by what? By unloading. But by loading up, that he would agree with the Chachamim. You do it. You could do it what for chinam, and here you could do it for schar. Okay, again the pasuk says kisira chamor sanacha roibis tachas masoi the chadalta kisira yochel afilu meirachaik, even if you see it from a distance. I might think even if you see it for distance. So the pasuk in Shmo says, "Kisifka shar oivcha oichamoy toya." If you see the shore of your enemy or chamor wandering around, hashet shivim loy. And there it says the lashon of kisifka. It doesn't say kisira. Sira means you can see. Sifka means you physically meet up with. Ikisifka yachul pegia mamish. You have to meet it. Tamalem kisira. So in other words, obviously there's some type of middle place that will accomplish both. It'll be considered you see it, and it'll be considered as if you met up with it. What is seeing that is tantamount not to meeting up with? It's 1/700th of a mil. That's ris. In a ris, there's 7.5 ris in a mil. This is 1/7. That's the distance. Pana and you accompany after you load it up. You accompany with it ad parsa until 4 mil. Parsa is 4 mil. Why would you accompany so far? Because maybe it's going to go ahead and maybe it'll blow a tire again, right? Maybe something will happen again. Okay. However, this everyone would admit that what you get schar if you for getting paid for accompanying it along. Right. We weren't pushed to the Shiloh. We were not pushed to the Shiloh. We were not pushed to the Shiloh. I think the Rambam holds this to Rabbanan, if I remember correctly. But again, as we said yesterday, whether it's the Rabbanan or the Raisa, certainly it's not in the Jewish spirit to go ahead and mistreat an animal. I mean, it's avodah zara to treat it like PETA treats it. That's avodah zara. Like the people who make animals into people. That's avodah zara. Even if it's the raisa, that's avodah zara. Because again, if it's for the purpose of it, the people standing around kaparis are think kaparis was the wicked thing in the world. They're foolish people. But nonetheless, there's a midah of achsarius that Noda B'Yehuda that we spoke at a shuv Noda B'Yehuda yesterday about hunting. You see that the hunting is not something that's part of to hunt it, and it's not in this kind of Yiddish time. Yeah. Says the final Mishnah in the parak of Elam Metzias. Avedasle v'avedis aviv. You have in front of you two avedis. One is yours and one's your father. You can only be metapel with one. Which one are you metapel with? What would you think? Avedasle kedemes. Your aveda comes first. We'll see why. Avedasle v'avedis rabbi. Your aveda and the aveda of your Rabbi. Shaloi kodim. Yours comes first. Avedis aviv avedis rabbi. Shal rabbi kedemes. The Rebbe comes first. And the father brings it to this world, but the Rebbe brings you to the next world through Chachma. Let's see Rashi, guys. Chachma. Go all the way up. Says Rashi, Chachma. Svaris Taimei HaMishnah. The svaras behind the reasoning of the Mishnah, ulahavin, and to understand. So you use that they should not go ahead and contradict each other. But taimei the and the reason why something's us and why something's mutter. V'achiev, why something's chayev, v'apata, something's pater. But who nikra Gemara, and that's called Gemara. So the word chachma is equal to Gemara. Lenny, we just began the Mishnah on Nafla Gimel Amid Aleph. We're discussing Aveda, which Aveda takes precedence. We're saying that the Aveda of a Rebbe and a father, you turn the Rebbe's first, because the Rebbe teaches you Chachma. So we're at the second wide line. Second wide line. V'im aviv chacham shall aviv kaidemes, that the father is what? Is a chacham. Right. Or if he's we have a gersa, if he's equal to your Rebbe. Then what? Then he goes first. If both of them are schlepping, the father and the Rebbe, first you go ahead and take care of the father, the Rebbe, and then the father. If they're both in prison, and you only have money enough to redeem one of them, you redeem your Rebbe and then your father. And if your father is a chacham, then you pay to him first.
Even if your father wasn't a Rebbe, wasn't your Rebbe, it's just he happens to be a Talmud Chacham.
Yeah. It's also this. If your father pays for your chinuch, your father pays for your chinuch also. There's a yeshayim in your Deya that you redeem the father first. That's involved in because he caused you to learn Torah, right? That's the point behind it, right? There's a yeshayim that if your father goes ahead and minani mili, how do you know what? How do you know that you go first? The shaloi kaidim. I'm Rav Yudam Rav. Amakro fs kilo yichabe evyon. We had this pasuk the other day. Fs kilo. There won't be among you evyon. What is it? Kilo yevacha shalcha kaidim shal koladam. In other words, if you're going to put yourself in a position to become destitute by taking care of somebody else, before you come first. I'm Rav Yehuda Amarav. Anyone who fulfills this to the letter of the law, he'll end up being in this place. Let's see Rashi. Beautiful Rashi here, guys. First thin line, last word. Even though the Torah does not require you to go ahead and take care of the other person for yourself, this is a situation where a person should go ahead and go above the letter of the law. And don't be medagdik shali koydem that I should come first. If you're not going to take a loss, if it's not a hefsid mechiach. In other words, you have an aveda, you have the veda of your Rebbe, you have the veda of your father, and you have your aveda, and you can go ahead and bypass yours and let your Rebbe and take care of your Rebbe and take care of your father. Go ahead and bypass yours. If you're going to be so medagdik that that you come first all the time, right? So what's going to happen? You're going to go ahead and throw the yoke of Gemilas Chesed all over you if you're so narcissistic and thinking of yourself all the time. With tzedakah, in the end, you're going to need it as well. So says the Gemara now. I'm Rabbi Yehuda, guys. It makes sense. I'm a Rav. You're right. You're right. You could go ahead according to the letter of the law and take yours before your father. Take yours before your Rebbe. Says Rashi, you medagdik all the time in this halacha. Guess what? In the end, saif boli dekach. You're going to end up what? You're going to end up like the Evyon. You're going to end up like that. Again, it's a sensitivity. There's the halacha, and then there's the name Shura Sadin. We find in this parak quite a few times the idea of going above the letter of the law when it comes to being sensitive to others. We said you go ahead and unload your Rebbe before your father. Now, and by Aveda, who is this Rebbe that we're talking about? When it says the Rebbe, what does this mean? Tan Rabbanon, Rabbi Sha'amru is Shalom de Chachma. He teaches you Gemara, as Rashi said. The person who's going to teach you Gemara, that's the Rebbe. That's V'loi Rabbi Shalom de Mikra Mishnah. Not your Chumash and Mishnayos teacher, but not your fifth grade Rebbe. Not your pre-1A, not the first grade, not the second grade, not the third grade, but a fifth grade. The one who teaches you what? You go after fifth grade, we're all experts in Gemara, right, Mendy? Not very convincing. No. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol sheroiv chachmas imenu. Rabbi Yehuda says anyone whose roiv chachma comes from him, be it Mikra, be it Navi, be it Gemara, the one who's the majority of his chachma comes, that's his Rebbe. Rabbi Yossi Omer, I feel like here einav el b'mishnah achas. Even he only explained one mishnah to you. Zehu Rabbi. So you have three machloikis. Rameya only Gemara teacher. Rabbi Yehuda roiv chachma, and Rabbi Yossi even one mishnah. Amar Rabbi could go in Rab Schleira. Rabbi said an example would be Rav Schleira. The Asbron zu Hamel the Starin. There's a Mishnah in Kalim that speaks about zu Hamel the Starin. We didn't know what it was, and guess what? You know who told us what it was? Rav Schleira told us it's the ladle that you go ahead when you cook and you have that froth schmutz come to the top of the pot. You take this kaf and take it off. Shmuel Koramane Allah Hahum Rabbanon. Shmuel would write kriya on like if it's his Rebbe. The Asbrei who explained to him, Echad Yorid L'Amas HaShechi, Echad V'Achad Paiseach Chivon. And one opened up quickly. This is the Gemara in Talmud, guys, right? And it's describing the opening of the gate in the Beis HaMikdash. And it's a little complex, very long Rashi. Basically the following. In order to open the front gate, guys, you had to look at me. You had to stick your hand all the way in, and the lock wasn't on the outside, the lock was on the inside. So you couldn't get it directly. You had to go stick your hand in and with a key go to the outside and unlock that. So when you stuck your hand in, your Beis HaShechi, your armpit was what? Was inserted all the way in this hole. And then when you opened that, the next hole was Kivan. You could open quickly. The Lashon Kivan means quickly. Right? Good. So Shmuel ripped his clothing, but the person who explained it at Mishnah and Talmud. Talmid Chacham Shebe Bavel. They would stand up, as covered one in front of the other. When they would die, they would have kriya one upon the other. But when it came to Hashavas Aveda, who would take precedence? Their father would take precedence, with the exception of their Rebbe Muvik. Rashi says Rebbe Muvik, 2 lines where it gets wide. Rab Muvik, Sheroiv Chachmasai Mimenu, Ki Rebbe Huda. Rebbe Muvik is the one who is most of your chachma is from him. Most of your chachma, most of the Torah you learn from him is your Rebbe Muvik. Kaboy mine Rav Chisna merav Huna. Talmid v'tzarech loy rabbi. Mai. He's a Talmid, but the Rebbe needs him. The Rebbe needs him. They're discussing. Again, this is nothing was written down. So the Rebbe needs the Talmid to repeat brises and sugyas. Nothing was written down yet. So Mai. So this is what Rav Huna. This is Rav Chisda asked his Rebbe Rav Huna, and Rav Chisda was Rav Huna's Talmud. Amalei say Rav Huna said, Chisda, like tzrichan lecha, at tzrichas. I don't need you, you need me. So Arabayim Shana. Now there's 2 ways to learn Pshat. You need me until 40 years, until you're 40. The Gemara says until 40 years old, you want to begin to understand what your Rebbe means. So according to the Girsa of Rabbeinu Chananel, you put the comma where I just put it. You'll need me till 40 years. There's another way to learn, and this is the way I learned. Like tzrichasli, comma, and arbarim shonim akbar adadi. For 40 years, they were makbar on each other. In other words, read it, that there was like ayel gabi adadi, they didn't come to each other. Yasser Rav Chisda arbayin Tanisa. Rav Chisda had 40 tanes. He sat 40 tanes in Mishim the Cholish Daiti Rav Huna because he made Rav Huna feel bad. Yasser Rav Huna arbayin Tanisa, and Rav Huna he went ahead and he sat 40 tanes in Mishum the Chashtel Rav Chisda was Chosher Rav Chisda. Okay. Itmar Rav Yitzchak by Yosef Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha Rav Yehuda that the Rebbe is the one that Rav Chachmas Imenu. Your Rebbe is the one that Rav Chachmas came from. Rav Acha by Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshes halacha Rav Yosi. The halacha is Rav Yosi, even one Mishnah who clarified one Mishnah for you as a Rebbe. My Rebbe stood up for a person who walked in one day. We asked him, "My high." He goes, he was a Talmud of Shimon, and he taught him to swim on his back. She was there. He told me he had to swim. He told me to swim on his back. It's fun. She was funny. Okay. Anyway. Achitophel was David.
He did like only one.
Only one, but he called him his Rebbe. Yeah. Shimi ben Geira was Shlomo's Rebbe. Shimi ben Geira was Shlomo's Rebbe. Okay, anyway. Umiyam Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say so that Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda Rav Chachmasai? I've Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said the opinion Allah Kastan Mishnah. The Allah is like an anonymous Mishnah. With Tanan Rabbi Shalom de Chachma, the Rebbe who teaches him Chachma, which is mashma like Reb Meya, just what Gemara says. Gemara, no, my Chachma Rav Chachmasai. Doesn't mean just Chachma. It means the one whose Rav Chachma came from, be it b'Mikra, b'Mishnah, b'Gemara, which is like Rabbi Yehuda. Tan Rabbanan. Ha'iskin b'Mikra, Mida ve'ena Mida, b'Mishnah, Mida v'Neitel Eschar. Gemara ein lecha Mida gavul mizu. The word Mida over here means literally measurement. It means, let's say it's a geschmack azach. Ha'isik b'Mikra, Mida, it's a geschmack azach. Ve'ena Mida, but it's not so geschmack. B'Mishnah, Mida, it's a geschmacka thing. You get rewarded for it. Gemara, Mida Gedol Mizu. Okay, says Rashi, Ve'ena Mida, beautiful Rashi here. Why is Gemara take precedence over Mishnayos and Chumash? Shah Mishnah and Gemara Yafim Mimena, because Mishnah and Gemara are better than what Ve'ena Mida. They're better than Chumash. If they should Tuluyim Begirsa, because you depend upon the text. And it would be forgotten. Therefore, it's very dear to learn it. Should be mayhem in their days. Like Hoya Gemara Biksav, the Gemara wasn't written down yet, and like Hoya Nitin Lichtayv Elalafi, and it wasn't given over to be written. Elafishin is Matu Halvabais as the minds became less. His Chilu Doris Achrein Lekasavi. So, guys, why is Mishnah and Gemara better? Is simply because again they didn't write it down then. So therefore, it was crucial to get it down written. We're going to see on the Amid Beis mamish a historical Rashi to explain the Masorah of Torah. It's mamish. I'm glad we have time to do a long Rashi, but worth going through. Gemara says Rashi over here. Kfar Pirish Pirashti Lamaila. I explained above. This is the Masal Chachma that we did inside. Shulas slave that a person directs his mind lehavin stimais taimi Mishnah to understand the hidden parts of the Mishnayos, mahem, what they are, ukishtaim seisu, and when they contradict each other, yavim the tarets, and he's able to come up with tarets to reconcile the two. Sheyishtaim kayamos, that they should not, again, they both should continue to exist, because you're not sure, guys. If they're seisu to each other, the easiest thing to say is one is incorrect. Remember, this is passed down by Messiah. It's passed down. Balpeh. Once it's passed down Balpeh, right? We had the other day a brisa. So he said, "Stime, should I go ahead and get rid of it? Should I get rid of it?" No, he was able to mitaritz it, right? Because again, there was no Messiah on these things. Very important Rashi, right? So this is Gemara, that you're able to go ahead and answer up that they both should continue to exist, that they weren't like a mistake, chas v'shalom, or understand Hamani, who's the town of this Mishnah, and who argue the name of Hamani, Pliny Chachamhu. So that's Gemara. That's Gemara. Says the Gemara. L'olam havi ratz l'mishnah yotzim in a Gemara. So he just went ahead and lauded the Milos of Gemara, and then you say, well, guess what? When it comes to Mishnayos, you should run to the Mishnayos before the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Hagufa Kasha. Armin on one Yehin just told me the Gemara in the Chamid the Gedali Mizu. There's nothing more geschmack than Gemara. And we saw Rashi why. But how do Amir Loilan Habi Ratz La Mishnah Yosem in a Gemara? So I'm Rabbi Yochanan, Amid based. I'm Rabbi Yochanan, Amid based. Bimei Rebbe Nishnis Mishnazu. In the days of Rebbe, that's where we learned that there's nothing better than Gemara, right? So what happened? Shafka Kuli Alma Masnisan. Everyone left their Mishnayos. The Yosla bust the Gemara, and they went after the Gemara. And Rebbe was worried it's going to be forgotten Mishnayos. Had the Darish Lahu, and therefore Rebbe returned in Darshan. Will have a Ratz La Mishnah Yotzim in a Gemara. Okay, you should go, and that's why to ensure it won't be forgotten. Better make sure you get the text of the Mishnah down correctly. Okay, let's do this Rashi, guys. A long Rashi over here, but it's a seminal, it's historical Rashi. Bimei Rebbe Nishna Mishnazu. Hadik Tani B'Gemara Ein L'Chag Mida Gedol Mizu L'Fishem Misharaboy Tamidei Shammai VeHillel Shahayu L'Fanav Shleisha Dairis Rabu Machlokes. Machlokes began b'Torah. As they increased the Talmidim of Shammai and Hillel, 3 generations, we already began to go ahead and have machlokes. In other words, what was the correct text? What's the correct halacha? V'nasis kishtei Teiris. And chas v'shalom, what was happening was we're getting 2 Teiris. Mitoich oil shibud malchuyos, because of the oppression of the government. U'gezeres shahaya goyzen aleim, the gezeres that they made upon them. U'mitoich kach because of the oppressive times, they weren't able to concentrate. Levar divrei hacholkim, to levar the words of what of those who argued. Ad yom of shel Rebbe, until the days of Rebbe. What happened in Rebbe's days? Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Shenasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo chen be'eni Antoninus. He gave Rebbe chen in the eyes of Antoninus. Antoninus is Marcus Aurelius. Melech Roma, who was the king of Rome. Kidamina b'avodah zara, v'nochu mitzara, and they had a little respite from the tsar. V'sholach v'kibetz kol tamidei ar eretz. Rebbe used his immense wealth to go ahead, send around and gather all the talmidim of Eretz Yisrael. Ad Yamav, until his days, lehoyim mesechtas sedurais. Until the days of Rebbe, there weren't mesechtas that were. There was no Daf Yomi, guys, because there was no daf. There was no daf. El kol talmid sheshama davim mipi gadol mimena. Any Talmud who heard something from the mouth of anyone greater than him, Garsa, Vinasa Simanim, and he would go ahead, he would learn it, and he would give Simanim, Halacha Ploinus, Ploinus, Shemati, B'Shem Ploini. I heard this so and so in the name of so and so. Ukashenikbetsu, Omar, Kol Ech, and when he gathered them together, Kol Echad said, Masha Shama. Each one said what they heard. And now, with the respite from the oppression, they were able to delve into the reason behind the machlokes. The ones that are roy to keep, and they were mesaded mesechtais. Divrei nezikin levadam, the divrei yavamis levadam, the divrei kachim levadam, the sasam nami b'mishnah, divrei yechidim, and the stam mishnah according to so and so. Shara Rebbe es divrayim. The shana stam. And Rebbe learned the Stam Mishnah. Why did he learn anonymously? That if the halacha should be like that Stam Mishnah. Lefikach Amar b'Gemara ein lecha mida gedol mizu sheyitnu leiv tami Mishnah. Beautiful, beautiful, long Rashi that guys you should know and teach your child, teach your grandchildren. This is the Rashi that you wished your Rebbe taught you early on to get an idea of what Gemara was, how it evolved, and what it was. It's beautiful. Okay, so. When did Rebbe say there's nothing better than Gemara? At that time. But why did he see happening? Since it was so geschmack, everyone started going to Gemara and they were going to forget the text. So continues Rashi, Shafku Kuli Alma Masnisan Melachzer al Girsas Mishnasam. They stopped learning going over Balpeh what they had learned. But also Basel Gemara, Lachshoy B'Svara. They began dealing with the reasoning behind it, but not the actual text itself. So Hadad Darish, Rebbe then went back. I'm just continuing Rashi. Hadad Darish lo have a Ratzla Mishnah. If you sheyira, because Rebbe was scared, can you shtachu Mishnayos lest they be forgotten? The Yachlifu Shmoisech Chachamim, and the names of who said what would be go ahead switched around. Ubemakim Chiyav Yomer Potter. And the place where they should say Chiyev Yom Pater, Makamasa Yom Muta. You know what happens, guys? If you forget the Mishnayos, you can know all the reasons for you want, but it will be Shalek Hilchasa. They'll be the wrong people. So therefore, the Rebbe, in order to make sure that the Mishnayos wasn't forgotten, he reverted. So very, very, very historical piece of Gemara with a very, very Rashi, beautiful Pirush Rashi. Okay. Now, the Gemara wants to know, my Darish, where did Rabbi darshan Techila that you should go ahead and learn Gemara that's better than Gemara? Kedarish Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Loi. By the way, guys, when you see the Tana Rabbi Yehuda, Tana is Rabbi Yehuda Bar Loi. Okay, now the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Koru begoren al tachsach kashoifa harem, koilecha v'haged la'ami pishon. Tell over to my nation their negligence. Ulebeis Yaakov chatoisam. So let's darshan. Haged la'ami pishon ulebeis Yaakov chatoisam. Who is speaking about over here? Haged la'ami pishon, ami elu tamid chachamim. Tell the Talmid Chacham they're what? They're negligent. They're pasheya. Sheshigogois natzes them kizdoinos. That the mistakes they went ahead and they make b'shoigeg are considered by them what? Considered by them amazing. You know why? Because they could have learned and they didn't. As a result of not learning, they're considered pasheya. So this is why Rebbe darshan better go ahead do what? Learn Gemara. So therefore you won't, because again, you're going to be, your feet will be held to the fire a little more than other people. Well, the Beis Yaakov chatoisam, it's called a chatas is a shoygeg. Elu amei oretz sheshedoinos that they do on purpose. Not them sheskagalish. They don't know any better. So behind did nan Rabbi Yehuda Omer habizor betalmud. A person should be very careful to learn. Sheshiggas Talmud. If he gives a mistake when it comes to Gemara, it can cause oily zodin. It can cause people to do a various zodin. Listen to the words of Hashem, those who tremble on His words. When it says who tremble on His words, these are Tamid Chachamim who work very, very hard to understand the time of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amru Achechem Elu Bali Mikra. These are the Chumash people who learn Chumash. Sainechem Elu Bali Mishnah. These are the Bali Mishnah who hate the Bali, they don't like the Bali Mikra. Minadechem, you put in Nidui, Elu Amei Oretz. They hate Talmid Chacham, the Talmid Chacham hate them, right? And they treat them like a Nida. I guess the Talmid Chacham are hated. And they hate them. So what does the pasuk say? L'man Shemi Yechaber Hashem, Shem Toimar, maybe you'll say Pasak Sivra, their hope they're finished, Ubatal Sikuyom, and it's Mevatel the happiness of that the Shros of Shkin on Yisrael, Talmud Leimer, Beniru B'Simchaschem. In other words, don't think that you're going to be in Nidui, that you will not see the Yeshua. Everyone's going to be there. Shem Toimar, only Yisrael Yevoshu, Talmud Leimer, Vehem Yevoshu, they'll be dried up. The Yisrael Yismachu. So we just started in the pasuk in Yeshaya. Shimu Devar Hashem Hacharedim Shal Devaroi Amar Chechem Sanachem Minadechem. Sanachem is referred to. If you see Rashi just for a second, Sanachem Elu Bali Mishnah. That's this medium wide. Shesoinim Bali Gemara. They hate the Bali Gemara. The Bali Gemara hate them. If you say Bali Gemara Oimrim Al Bali Mishnah, Shem Mi Bali Oilam. So those Bali Mishnah, hate them because they say that what Bali Mishnah they confuse the world. Can I mean myself to say because they paskin Atanoim Mavlin Oilam Shemayim Malachim Yitach Mishnah because they paskin from Mishnah Yisrat Gemara. Minadechem Elu Tamidechem Elu Ameratzim Shal Tamidechem Snuim. They're hated and Misavim Lehem Kenida. And they okay. Shema Taima Avad Svarasam. That there's no hope that they're gone. They're going to see what? They're going to see the time of Ashura Sashkina. Okay, let's do the Mishnah, new parak, and we'll continue with that tomorrow. Okay, this is, we know the four Shoimim, we're familiar with that, guys. Shem Echinam is what? Is Pata Be'Greva Veda, Shem Esachas Pata Ba'Einsin, Seicha is machloikis, whether it's shemachin or shemasacha, shoyl is chayv, everything except meis machmas malacha. So hamafkid eitzel chavera behema kalim. Person entrusts his friend to watch behema kalim, benignavu oisha avdu, and they either get stolen or they're lost. And shileim v'lei rasa l'shavar. Now he's a shemachinam. He could swear and get off the hook, but he doesn't want to swear. Okay, he doesn't want to swear, and he pays. Shari amru shemachinam nishba v'yaitza. Shemachinam can swear, and he's potter. Nimsa ganif. So once he pays instead of swearing. He doesn't want to swear. He pays. And nimsa ganif, mishan tashlumei kefil. Right. If tavach u'machar, if the ganif went ahead and had slaughtered it or sold it, mishan tashlumei baruch hamisha, guys of Baba Kama fame. Lami mishalem, who gets the money? Lami shapikad netzlai, the shemer, because the shemer got off the hook. When he paid, it becomes his. The Gemara is going to ask, how can you be makna davar shlei bal olam? The Geneva wasn't in the world yet. How can you be koina? The Gemara is going to, how can you be koina Geneva that wasn't in the world yet? Okay, so nishba, if he swears, and he doesn't want to pay, nimsa ganiv mishan tashlumei kefil. Tavar macha mishan tashlumei v'chamisha mishalem lebal pikadon. It seems to be obvious. Let's see Rashi, guys. Hamafkid v'lei ratzah l'shavar shvuas shaymim. What is the shvuas shaymim? Shlei pasha ba u'shlei sholach b'yad. Doesn't say shvuas shaymim b'shusay. Sheyachal ipata b'shvuazu. Shari amru, you're able to get off the hook. L'misha b'kad netzlai. The kivin the shileim. Since he paid, kana kol tashlumeha. He goes ahead and he acquires all tashlumin. Now we can do the quick Gemara. It said two things in the Mishnah. It said behema. It said kalim. The Gemara lamali lemisli behema, lamali lemisli kalim. Just say simply, if a person is mafket anything and he swears and he pays, he should get it. Why are you picking at kalim? Why are you picking at behema? It says no, it's tzrich. You need to tell me both. The tana behema have amina behema who demakna kefela mishum the nafish tircha lefuke. This guy worked hard. He watched this behema. It's not keeping it in one corner. He took it in. He took it out. Right? He had to work it. So maybe that's why the owner is being so nice that we makna him the kefil because he's paying for his efforts. Avo kalim b'loy nafish tirchayu. What's kalim? What do you do? He just left it in a cupboard. He left it hidden. He put it away. So there was no tech whatsoever. Maybe in that scenario, he would not be makna the kefil. If he done a kalim, have I mean a kalim who did makna the kefila, we shouldn't blow nafish keflayu because the most you can get is kefil. You hit the lottery, right? It's not only kefil, but you can also pay dollar behay. I might say that you're not makna the kefil. So tzricha, you have to tell me that then both you are both whether it's behem or kalim, he's makna the kefil.
Shot that the owner's makna to them. If the shomer acquired it.
He had when you have a acquiring, someone has to go ahead and be the makna. You have a koina and a makna, right? If you're selling something, you have the moicher and loikeach. Just giving money, if the guy wasn't makna to you, so you gave him a present, he had to be makna to you.
It's shy of paying the shomer paid. He doesn't get paid.
Again, but he's not going to pay unless he's makna to him.